Hey y'all, it's Suzette Vernon and welcome to my channel, Redefining My 60s on My Own Terms. Um, I do have to apologize because in previous episodes I haven't done my traditional welcome, right? and my encouraging you to like, share, subscribe, you know. Give me the thumbs up if you're enjoying what I'm sharing with you. And please subscribe to my channel. That way you get notifications when I drop a new episode. If you're new here, a Southern girl, welcome. I started this channel for us dark-skinned, melanin-popping women over the age of 65 because at the time, I had early retired and I was just trying to find information about health and wellness and beauty and skincare and all these different things for women in their 60s. Dark-skinned women like myself with kinky hair and all of that. And I just wasn't seeing a lot of it. Now, granted, I'm seeing more of it now, but at the time, I wasn't really seeing anybody talking specifically to women in their 60s who, like me, were trying to figure out life and figure out health and figure out how to navigate their 60s now that they had the time and all that. And so I decided to start it myself. And so I reimagined my channel. Originally, it was more about relationships. And so then it evolved with me when I retired my relationship coaching business and everything. I decided I wanted to speak to a 60-year-old women and to just be a model of someone who's redefining their life on their own terms, understanding that for many of us, we have lived our lives for other people for so long, and now that it's our time, sometimes you don't even know where to start. You know, you don't even know how you want to dress, how you want to wear your hair. You know, sometimes you want to give your life a makeover, but you want it to be authentic. You want it to be real. And that's what I was hoping to model. And by doing so, give you permission to really put yourself first and to color outside the lines. And instead of waiting for life to happen, redefine it on your own terms. So these last years, your third act of life, could be your best years. So that's why I'm here. Now, here's the thing. I no longer run a coaching business, but the information that I have to share is still relevant. And that is what has inspired this series about properly vetting your relationship partner. You know, properly vetting a potential partner, whether it's for someone you're dating, someone you want a long-term relationship with, whether you want to live together or whether you want to get married. That for many of us, we have not really been taught how to properly vet a potential partner. And because I had to learn how to, and I learned some great nuggets and insights along the way that are still relevant, by the way, regardless of whether you're in your, your 20s or in your 70s, this information is still very relevant, and I'm finding is still very needed. For many of us, we are very sure about our experience with our significant others in our past, our exes. But the only thing that we walked away with was our experience with our ex and the residue we carried in our self-definition and the way we saw ourselves and saw men as a result of that. So I'm hoping that as I share more, that you will get maybe some answers to some things that maybe you didn't have, no one has ever addressed. And that I'm hoping that the way I address it will resonate with something deep inside of you, and you will be able to not only redefine who you are from more of an authentic and genuine space, but that you will be able to translate that into how you recognize, aka vet, a potential partner. So here goes. If this is your first episode, I encourage you to check out my previous episodes, so that this will probably make sense as I allude to some previous things that maybe I've said. It'll probably give context, better context, if you listen to the previous episodes. However, if you don't, I'm hoping to give you enough information that this episode itself can be of benefit to you as a standalone episode. But I do encourage you to go back and listen to some of the others, okay? In properly vetting a potential partner, there are some questions that either you need to ask that partner and or ask yourself when you have those moments of self-reflection, when you're reflecting on how your nervous system feels now that you've had a chance to sit back and think about what that date went like, I really believe, and I will repeat this, I've said this in a previous episode, and I believe this is very, very true. What I have observed is that men have the ability to walk and chew gum at the same time. They have the ability to be charming and engaging and date you well, while never losing sight that they're gathering information to determine how they want to pursue an interaction with you, or whether they don't want to pursue an interaction with you any further. But they've gotten everything they needed to know, and either they're going to continue or they're going to just say, okay, I got the information I needed. She's not the one. She's not she's not the kind of woman that I want to interact with right now. So they keep it moving. I found that we women, when we go on a date, we collect, I said in a previous episode, they collect information, we collect feelings. We collect justification for our feelings, pretty much. And whereas they're really figuring out, is this person a good match for where I am right now? We're going by how that person made us feel, and then we'll take how we felt with them and create this scenario around it that's not necessarily true, right? Because we just got so caught up in the feeling of it, and we have not soberly or with clarity taken just as much effort to really listen, process what he's saying, and to ask ourselves if that's what we want. So, yeah, I'm hoping that I will give you enough information that you will enjoy dating, you will enjoy your encounters, you will enjoy chilling with them, you'll enjoy the exchange, but that you'll never lose sight of who you are, whose you are, where you are, and that you will not allow your emotions to talk you out of your sensibilities. Okay? But you have to know yourself well enough first. So that's why I've said these are questions that not only, some of them need to be posed to the person that you are contemplating dating or you're spending time with, investing time with, but you also need to get clear on your answers that come from a sober, knowing yourself well place. Okay? So, another question that I feel like needs to be answered, especially so that you are clear about where this is going, is direction. And I'm not the kind of person that believes it's healthy to let somebody else tell you where things are going. And I'm going to say this because I understand that we're taught the man is the head, he's the lead, we should let a man lead. We've talked different things about submission, about a woman's place, letting a man be a man. A lot of these things we've been taught. But I'd like to offer you a broader context from which to look at those different things. Would you get in the car with a stranger and them tell you where you're going, and you just sit back and just let them drive you? Especially if you don't know the road well, you don't know how to get there, you wouldn't do it. You would not let somebody pull up and say, "Oh, get in. I know where you're going. Where are you taking me? Oh, just trust me. Just trust me to drive you." You wouldn't do it. You'd be asking questions. Where are we going? How do we get there? And you'd have to agree with where that person's taking you, right? It should be the same thing in relationships. And if you don't like where that person wants to take you, you have a right to say, "No, I don't want to go there. I want to go here." Or you have the right to get out of the car. Just because a person wants to take you somewhere does not mean you have to go. But if you get in there and say, "I don't care, just drive me wherever you want to take me," that's not honest. And that's not real. Because the truth is, there is something that you expect. There is an expectation, especially if you're dating somebody that you're attracted to. You have an end game, an outcome that you're looking for. And if you're not looking for it, as your feelings deepen, you want to know. So let's just cut to the chase. If you like somebody, or you've gone on a date or two, you want to know where this is going. My thing is, we wait for the man to answer it, and then based on his answer, we go along with it. As if we have no input, no say. He's the driver. He's the one that sets the course. And I feel like that's a disservice to a lot of us women, even us modern women. We sit back and we suffer because we're waiting for him to tell us where things are going, instead of tuning in with where we want things to go and what we'll do if things don't go in that direction. So a significant question is, what is your vision for us? Now, if it's too soon to ask about us, first date, I wouldn't ask that on a first date. You don't even know the guy yet. You don't even know if you want to continue with him. But a good question that you can ask is, what is your vision for your life? And how do you plan on getting there? That's a great question. What is your vision? What is your intention for dating? What do you hope the outcome will be? Why are you on the website? Why are you on a dating website? Why did you want to get together with me? If you don't already know, talk about it. Talk about engage him in a conversation about what brought you two to this encounter where you're sitting across from one another. engaging in conversation? What is it that you were hoping to gain? Right? Yeah. And for those of you that are very service minded, very give back minded, you're natural givers, you're natural servers. And a lot of us as women, we love serving in some capacity. Then your intention is to find out beyond service, beyond ministry, beyond roles. How do you see my role in supporting that? What do you want out of a significant other that will support that? Right? How do you see us supporting each other? Relating with each other? What is your dream? How would the woman of your dreams fit into that dream? What do you see her role being in that dream? Does he see himself elevating her life? Or does he see how well she can support and serve him? Is that where he puts the most emphasis? Right? And you can always ask the question, well, what if she has a dream? You know, what if she has a purpose? What if she has ambition? What would be your posture on that? How do you feel about that? Right? And how can you see yourself supporting her? Right? Those aren't questions. Now that question is not intimidating at all, because you haven't assumed that you're that person. That's why I stopped and I didn't say, how do you see us? It's how would you see the woman of your dreams supporting you in that? Do you want someone to support you in that? Or do you pride yourself on being self-made? That you get all of that first and then get a wife, get a partner to share it with. No right or wrong answer, just finding out where he stands and what his conviction is around it. And then in your time of self-reflection, then you can ask yourself, is that in alignment with where I see myself, what I want for my life? And if you don't have enough information, then you know if there's a second date to go more deeply into it. Right? See if he's interested in finding out what your dream is. And how, if you had a partner, or when you have a partner, how you see you both supporting one another. But being clear is not being too forward, and it's not jumping to conclusions. Quite the contrary. It's talking about things that really matter. And leadership isn't just him telling you where the relationship is going. Leadership is, what is his self-directed strategy to get there? What is his plan? Because if he doesn't have a plan for how he's going to get there, then how is he going to have a plan to impart something to you that would make you get excited about supporting him in it? He has to know how he's going to get somewhere before he can take you with him. Right? And so that's a very, very important question that oftentimes gets skipped over because we're so busy jumping to a man findeth a wife, he's found a good thing. Well, how does he know that he's found one? If he doesn't have a vision, How does he know if he's found one? How will he know how to recognize you? And then if you don't have a vision or a sense of yourself, how will you know whether you should continue with him or whether it should end right there, because you know that's not in alignment with how you see yourself and your role and where you are at this phase in your life. Now, I'm going to say this because I feel like I want to expose the elephant in the room. Even though many of us women have evolved, we have evolved as far as intellectually. We are voracious learners, very growth-minded, very self-improvement minded, very achievement-oriented, very goal-oriented, whether the goal is wanting to go up the corporate ladder, or the goal is wanting to get married, or the goal is to have children, or the goal is to buy a house. We are very good at setting goals and doing what's necessary to meet those goals in most areas of our lives. And we have evolved. We have opinions. We are leaders. We are influencers. We are millionaires and billionaires. We are thought leaders. We definitely have found that we do have a place, a significant role in business, in life, in this whole thing called living, that we aren't just supposed to be barefoot and pregnant. I ain't even gonna say just supposed to be, but that our role is not merely the kitchen and the bedroom, but we have something to say, we have something to offer. And it's not just to help pay your bills, help you reach your goals. We have goals of our own and dreams of our own. But I feel like there are still remnants from the old days where a man got to select the woman that he wanted. It was the man's choice. It was the man who had the right to select women. And so just watch an episode of Bridgerton, and it's very, very clear that the woman's job was to learn all these wifely duties, to make herself attractive, to prove to the man that she was wife material, that she could have babies, she could make his life better, whatever that was, whether it's cooking and cleaning, whatever it was. She would present herself and he would decide whether he wanted her or not. Right? So it was the man that did the choosing, and the woman had to do that so that she could have a future. Her ability to survive was tied to a man. That is no longer the case, but there's still remnants from that time. Why do you say that, Suzette? Because we always say, we ask the man, where is this going? We leave it up to him to decide if this is a relationship, when he wants to declare it's a relationship, and where he wants to take the relationship. And we women sit around wondering. We even ask, well, is it too soon for me to ask? Because I don't want him to think that I'm, trying to pressure him, or if I'm being too forward or whatever. And so we sit and we suffer and we ponder and we don't know. We allow ourselves to stay in a state of not knowing, hoping that maybe if we can, prove ourselves in some way and convince him that we're worthy of his picking us to be exclusive, to be his wife, to be the mother of his children. We think if we can prove ourselves, that we can convince him, if we can convince him enough, then he will say, yes, I want us to be in a relationship. I want you exclusively. I want you to be my fiance. I want you to be my wife. And we call that leadership. We call that leadership. But then when it comes to self-discipline, being a man of your word, being someone I can respect, I can trust, being someone that I can trust with my heart, then we're taught to make excuses for that, or to assume the responsibility of being the adult in the room, carrying the load, praying, pleading, supporting, protecting. And if we dare complain, somehow or another it gets turned back on us. We weren't enough. We weren't good enough in the bedroom. We weren't good enough in the kitchen. We weren't supportive enough. We didn't appeal. We didn't nurture his ego enough. That his behavior is our fault. If we were a good woman, if we were this for our husband, we were that. And so we start finding ourselves when a man does not behave like a leader should, or a husband should, or a partner should, then we automatically start wondering, what did we do? And the more we wonder, the more heavy lifting we take on. And we start saying, well, we take care of the house. Well, we cook. Well, we clean. Well, we tell the children, don't bother dad. He's asleep right now. We do everything. So why won't he? I'm doing everything. I'm praying. I'm believing in him. I'm still behaving a certain way because I'm trying to prove to him that I'm someone worthy of his love. And instead of that proving, it just seems to make things worse. So there's got to be something wrong. And I would say it's not anything inherently wrong with us, except for the fact that we don't know our own value apart from him. We're letting him decide our value instead of taking the time to decide our value ourselves. We feel like if he wants something different, then what we want is secondary, or maybe God is trying to tell us that we shouldn't want it. That our job is to drop whatever it is that we want and support him. To be long-suffering. To being a good woman, a good praying wife. To suffer. And that somehow or another that makes us more spiritual. It makes us more noble. I cannot see how your unhappiness would be something that God would want or be pleased with. And that you have to accept a man's invitation. And that's another trickle down. It's like if he proposes, that just makes all things right. No proof of change. No proof of accountability, though he's saying, I'm holding myself accountable. No, you're not. If there's no evidence to the same, it's just words. Admitting that you're doing something wrong is not holding yourself accountable. I can admit, not that this is true, but let's say I admit I eat too much candy. That doesn't mean that I'm holding myself accountable and to my body and saying, you know what, eating all this candy is not good for my body. So accountability and holding myself accountable means I'm not going to eat this candy. Because I understand that by eating all this candy, I'm not doing right by my body. I'm not being good to myself. So accountability is I am repenting. I am changing. I am learning the self-discipline that's necessary. I'm making changes that can be measured. Not just up in my head, but you can measure me. You can clock me. That's the proof of accountability. That I can see evidence of it. You can show me. You can lay it out for me. You've got proof of transformation. But we as women have not been taught to require that. Hence, waiting for him and taking a secondary role in it. What I would offer to you in your questioning, in your vetting, is to first find out that you're worthy of being loved in a way that heals you, that protects you, that honors you. And it is not hard to do for the right man. If he cannot do it or refuses to do it, he's the wrong man. And instead of jumping into a relationship, an exclusive relationship, giving this person your heart, your hand, surrendering your life in marriage, you deserve for proof that he will be a good steward of your heart. You deserve proof. And not just him saying, well, this is what I'm doing for you. You don't have to accept it just because he's doing it for you. If he's not considering and not checking in with you to find out to what that would look like, then he's not doing it for you. He's doing it for him and wanting you to accept it. And because of his effort, feels like you just should. No, this is your heart. This is your life. You should be a good steward of your heart, a good steward of your life, a good steward of your time, a good steward of your investment. Because you love yourself. You respect yourself. So, yes, direction. Where are we going? First, you get clear about where you want to go. You be clear about it. And then just be curious. Ask him questions that will reveal to you if he can organically, if he naturally does those things, or has the potential to do the things, the willingness to learn who you are so he can learn how to love you the way you deserve to be loved. That takes time. As I was sharing with my husband, who agreed, him treating you well is baseline. That's just the price of admission. But if you're looking for a potential partner, someone worthy of your heart, your allegiance, your commitment, your submission, he's got to do more than have titillating conversations, be charming, whisper sweet nothings, and be able to throw around a couple of scriptures. It is not your job as a woman to carry the burden of your husband's lack of maturity. his inability to see you, his inability to understand, to comprehend. And I know the world system would try to make you think you just got to settle for it because all men are that way, but it's not true. There are men out there who have done what they needed to do, who have lived their way to a deeper, more profound understanding of the worth and value of a woman in their lives. They have lived their way from boyhood to maturity. You don't have to ask them where things stand. They'll tell you from the beginning. And they won't allow you to believe a lie. They will tell you from the beginning. If he tells you he's not looking for marriage, guess what? He won't marry you. Listen, listen, listen. Baseline integrity. What you say is in alignment with who you are. Not just who you are with everybody else, but how you treat me. Lets me know a lot about your walk with God and your maturity and your readiness and worthiness to be in my life. If you got to continue to complain about what he's not, complain about what he's not doing, what he's not saying, the effort he's not making, I don't care how much scriptural psychobabble, I don't care. He is not the one for you. So I submit. That's why I've spent more time on direction. Where are we going? First, you got to know where you want to go. And not continue to spend time and give away more and more pieces of yourself for somebody who's showing you clearly that they don't want to go. That they want the benefits of it, but they don't want to go. That it's not their fault if you remain in it. If you don't have enough respect for what you need, that you will allow what he does to cause you to compromise your value, your safety, your sanity, your joy, just to have him. You have to ask yourself, do I believe that I'm worthy? Do I believe there's somebody out there that can love me for me? Or do I believe that I have to settle for this? Settle for a life of complaint and frustration. So yes, I've taken a lot of time on direction and strategy because these are questions that are very, very necessary. How do we get there? And it doesn't mean that you got to figure it out and plot and scheme and engineer to get him to go. No, it's more for you knowing so that you can recognize when the right person with potential shows up. And how to time release. How to time release in a healthy way. You don't put everything out there at one time. But you learn how to show up congruent with the deepening of the relationship. You learn to reveal more as the relationship deepens. Okay? So I welcome your questions, your thoughts, your comments, because I think this is a sticking point where a lot of women of faith, a lot of women in the church, and a lot of women who have spent more time advancing and growing and accomplishing than learning how to relate. and how to take care of themselves, how to properly vet, what places to go for them to grow in who they are. A lot of ambitious women, overachieving women, and church women have skipped this step about direction and strategy. It's gotten so intermingled with scriptures taken out of context and things that have been told and the residue from those Bridgerton moments. And I'm here to help. So I welcome your thoughts. All right. Talk with you more later. Bye-bye.